Flash flooding is most common in the U.S. in late spring and summer. In fact, over the last decade, about 2/3 of all flash flooding reports received by the National Weather Service occurred in May, June, July, and August. Now, the official Weather Service definition of a flash flood emphasizes its short fuse nature. Flooding begins within 6 hours and often within 3 hours of the heavy rain. There's no other numerical measure, simply that flash floods are characterized by raging torrents of water in riverbeds, streets, or mountain canyons. In other words, you usually know flash flooding when you see it. And what happened in Ellicott City, Maryland on Sunday was classic. The result of 6 to 12 inches of rain falling in just 3 hours in the drainage basin, eerily reminiscent of flooding less than 2 years ago in this same community. And in fact, Ellicott City, which is about 10 miles west of Baltimore, is very flood prone, an increasingly urbanized ribbon in a valley where the topography funnels rain that falls to the west down into the town, which is at the confluence of two major creeks and the Patapsco River. The town has experienced a dozen serious floods since the first well-documented one in 1868, when the river rose 21.5 feet, killing 43 people. About a century later, Ellicott City flooded in June 1972 during Hurricane Agnes, just like many places in Pennsylvania. A railroad bridge support beam at the foot of Main Street in town is marked with the heights of the Patapsco River floodwaters in Ellicott City over the years. Now here's what Sunday's flash flood looked like as measured by a river gauge just 2 miles southeast of town. Now this graph starts early on Saturday. The river level was between 11 and 12 feet for a long time. The red line is flood stage. Early Sunday afternoon, the graph explodes upward, 15.5 feet in just 75 minutes. Now that's a flash flood. Now here's a flash back. Less than 2 years ago, the evening of July 30th, 2016, that same river gauge. Then the water level jumped more than 16 feet in 90 minutes in a disconcertingly similar flash flood. Now, the overall setup last Saturday was favorable for flooding. The Weather Service had issued a special mesoscale discussion in the early afternoon outlining the general area of concern. Note this front that they drew here as stationary. Let me show you what that actually was. Here's a high-resolution visible satellite loop starting around 8 a.m. Sunday. A batch of early morning thunderstorms had formed from southeast Pennsylvania into central New Jersey. Now, the rain-cooled air coming out of those storms headed off to the south and west and acted like a mini cold front. Now, we call this line of clouds right here, we call that an outflow boundary. You can see it here as that curvy band of clouds. This boundary continued to the southwest and then stalled, helping to set off new thunderstorms in northern Maryland that produced the Ellicott City flood. Outflow boundaries are also known as gust fronts because they're often accompanied by a noticeable uptick in wind speed and a drop in temperature. I like to call gust fronts the cool before the storm. Stay tuned. Ben is next with the extended forecast.